Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving deep into those critical first 100 days of a startup.
Yeah, 100 days can really make or break it.
That's right, and we've got a ton of sources here to guide us, kind of like a roadmap for this entrepreneurial journey.
We'll be looking at those big milestones, the decisions that can really make a difference, and the lessons that every founder picks up along the way.
Exactly, it's like a crash course in startup survival.
Wow.
But we'll also be digging into something else.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The mindset of an entrepreneur, the role of humility in those early days, and how those factors shape a startup's journey.
It all begins with day one, that initial spark.
Right.
It's not just about a brilliant idea. It's about that drive to solve a problem,
Yeah.
the kind that keeps founders up at night.
That's true. Our sources actually highlight how many successful startups come from a founder's own frustration.
Oh, yeah.
Like that moment where they think there has to be a better way, but it's only the first step, right?
Oh, absolutely. Day one is also about validation. Asking yourself the tough questions. Like, do people actually need this? Is the market big enough? Will anyone pay for it?
It's about turning those daydreams into a real business.
Yeah.
And I imagine that takes humility to test your idea and face potential criticism.
It does. Putting your creation out there is a vulnerable thing, but that feedback is crucial.
So let's say you've got a solid idea and some initial validation. Then week one hits and it's all about laying those first bricks. What are we talking about here?
Wireframe some basic code, maybe a rough business plan.
All often on a shoestring budget.
It's where that scrappy startup spirit shines through, right? Making the most of limited resources. And that's when the team starts to form, even if it's just a small group or a solo founder at first.
Every decision feels massive because the stakes are so high. It's like building a house, but you're using lines of code, caffeine, and pure willpower for bricks. Our sources talk about this concept of an MVP, a minimum viable product. Can you tell us more about that?
It's about getting a basic version of your product out there fast, not aiming for perfection right away, but testing the waters, gathering feedback, and iterating based on what you learn.
So by week two, the founder is hopefully testing that MVP with early users. I bet that feedback, even if it's tough, is so valuable.
Absolutely. It's like revealing your creation to the world for the first time. We're going to get some critique, but that's how you improve.
It takes humility to listen and adapt, to let go of that initial vision and make it even better.
Yeah.
And this is also when founders often start building their network right.
Yeah, seeking support from mentors, advisors, or potential investors.
When you realize they don't have all the answers.
Exactly, and start building those relationships that can support them through the ups and downs of startup life.
Okay, so a month in, and the focus shifts to refining, tweaking the product, maybe even pivoting based on what you've learned from those early users.
You're aiming to gain traction now, proving that people not only like your idea, but they'll pay for it.
Things are getting real now.
Yeah, you're handling customer support, figuring out sales strategies, and trying to reach more users, all while still being a small and agile team.
Talk about wearing multiple hats. The founder is no longer just a visionary. They're handling operations, marketing, customer relations, and probably still coding at 3 a.m.
It's a test of their leadership, their ability to delegate, and their resilience when facing constant challenges.
And this is often where making the right hires becomes so important.
Oh, yeah?
Bringing in people who share that entrepreneurial spirit and can help carry the load.
You need a team that believes in the vision and is ready to face those challenges with the same passion.
And let's be real, the pressure really ramps up around day 60.
Oh, yeah.
There might be actual revenue coming in, but the questions get even bigger.
Like what?
How do you scale? How do you handle increasing demand without losing that startup agility? How do you stay true to your vision while navigating the reality of growth?
It's a balancing act. It requires strategic thinking and that hands-on problem-solving attitude of a true entrepreneur.
And all of this is happening with potential investors watching. You're trying to show sustainability, prove your business model, and secure the resources to fuel that next stage of growth.
It's a test of everything you've built so far.
If a startup can make it through this phase, it proves they have what it takes to handle the tough times ahead.
It shows that you've built more than just a product. You've built a company with the potential to succeed.
Okay, we're getting close to that 90-day mark. Time for some serious reflection.
Yeah.
Are those early wins sustainable? Is there evidence of that product market fit everyone's always talking about?
That's where that entrepreneurial humility comes back into play. Honestly, assessing your progress, being open to course correction, and making tough decisions based on the data and feedback.
These questions will decide the next chapter of the startup's journey. setting the stage for everything that comes after those first 100 days.
It's a turning point for the founder, a culmination of all those late nights, tough choices, and moments of doubt. But it's also a time of tremendous learning and growth.
And we'll dive into that next chapter in just a bit. But first, we need to take a quick break. So we left off at that 90-day mark where a founder takes a step back, looks at those early wins, and starts searching for signs of that product market fit.
It's a real moment of truth, right? Like you've climbed this huge mountain and you finally reach the top.
Yeah.
You take a breath, look around, and figure out where to go next.
So for those who might not be familiar, can you explain what product market fit actually means in the world of startups?
It's finding that perfect match between your product or service and a specific group of people. It means you've found people who not only want what you're offering, but are actually willing to pay for it and tell others about it.
It sounds like achieving product market fit is a signal that you're on the right track, that all the hard work is starting to pay off.
It's definitely a huge milestone. It validates your initial ideas, proves you're solving a real problem, and shows you're ready for the next phase of growth.
But what if, after 90 days, a founder realizes that product market fit isn't quite there yet? Does that mean it's time to give up?
Not at all. This is where a founder's resilience and ability to adapt really come in. It might mean going back to square one, tweaking the product, refining your target market, or even shifting directions slightly.
So it's not always a smooth ride to success.
Nope.
It's about being open to feedback, learning from those early mistakes, and having the guts to make tough decisions.
Exactly. And our sources point out some key lessons that come out of those first 100 days, insights that can really help guide founders through the challenges.
What are some of those key takeaways that stand out to you?
Well, first things first, speed is crucial. In the startup world, you have to move fast, make quick decisions, and be adaptable to change.
But it's not just about speed for the sake of speed, right?
No.
It's about being strategic,
Yeah.
making those decisions count, and executing things effectively.
Absolutely. That's where the entrepreneurial mindset comes in. It's about having the vision to spot opportunities, the courage to take risks, and the resilience to bounce back from setbacks.
Another important point our sources bring up is the need to solve a real problem. You can have the most cutting-edge tech or the most innovative idea, but if it doesn't address a real need, it's unlikely to take off.
It all goes back to that initial validation we talked about. It's about ensuring your solution isn't just cool or interesting, but actually solves a problem for your target audience.
And that brings us to another key ingredient for success: feedback.
Right.
Those early users, mentors, advisors, they offer incredibly valuable insights that can shape both the product and the company.
It's about being receptive to criticism, willing to listen and learn, and humble enough to admit you don't know everything.
It's easy to get attached to your own idea, to fall in love with your creation.
Oh, yeah.
But being able to step back, look at it objectively, and take feedback, that's a powerful skill for any entrepreneur.
Definitely. And it's not just about the product. Those first 100 days are also about putting together a team, finding people who share that passion, and can fill in your skill gaps.
Because let's be honest, you can't build a successful company on your own.
No.
It takes a diverse group of talented people, each bringing something unique to the table.
Those early hires really set the tone for the company culture. It's about finding people who not only have the skills, but who also fit your values and vision.
It's like building a puzzle, finding the right pieces that fit together to create a complete and dynamic whole. But finding the right people is only one part of the equation. Then there's the challenge of leadership, especially as the team grows and the stakes get higher.
Absolutely. The founder's role changes a lot during those first 100 days. They have to learn to delegate effectively, communicate clearly, and inspire their team to reach those ambitious goals.
It's about creating an environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute, where ideas are welcomed, and where failure is seen as an opportunity to learn.
And that ties back to that entrepreneurial spirit we talked about. It's contagious. When the founder embodies that passion, that resilience, that drive to make a difference, it spreads throughout the entire company.
So we've talked about speed, solving real problems, the value of feedback, building a strong team, and the changing role of the founder as a leader. What other lessons emerge from those first 100 days?
One that really sticks with me is celebrating those small wins along the way. The startup journey is a marathon, not a sprint. It's full of challenges and setbacks.
It's easy to get lost in the day-to-day work, to focus only on the next goal, the next obstacle to overcome.
Yeah.
But taking the time to acknowledge those small victories, to appreciate the progress you've made, that can be incredibly motivating for both the founder and the team.
It's about maintaining that momentum, that sense of moving forward, even when things are tough. Because trust me, things will get tough. There will be doubt, frustration moments when you question everything.
And that's where that entrepreneurial resilience comes in. It's
Yeah.
about having the strength to keep going, the determination to overcome obstacles, and the belief in your vision, even when things are difficult.
And don't forget about self-care. Founders often pour their heart and soul into their startups, working crazy hours and sacrificing personal time.
Yeah.
But it's so important to keep a healthy work-life balance to recharge and avoid burnout so you can come back with renewed energy and focus.
It's a marathon, like you said, not a sprint. You need to pace yourself, take care of your physical and mental health, and build a sustainable lifestyle that can support you on this journey.
Exactly. And that leads us to another critical aspect of those first 100 days, the financial side of things. Because most startups need funding to grow, to scale their operations, and to reach their full potential.
And that's exactly where we're going to dive in next. We'll explore the different ways to fund a startup, from bootstrapping to venture capital and everything in between. Stay with us as we delve into the world of raising capital and the decisions founders face when securing those crucial resources. So we've made it through those intense first 90 days, and now we're at a crucial point, funding.
It's the fuel that can really launch a good idea to the next level.
That's for sure. And our sources describe a funding scene that's constantly changing, with way more options than there used to be. It's not just about traditional venture capital anymore, is it?
Not at all. We're seeing more crowdfunding platforms, angel investors looking to back early-stage companies, and accelerators and incubators that offer not only financial support, but also mentorship and resources.
It's like this whole ecosystem has popped up around startups, offering all sorts of paths to funding. But I can imagine it's a lot for a founder to navigate all these choices.
Absolutely. The key is for founders to first really understand their own needs and goals.
So what kind of questions should they be asking?
Things like, how much capital do they need to hit that next milestone? How much control are they willing to give up in exchange for funding? And what are their long-term growth plans?
So it all starts with having a clear vision and strategy, knowing where you're headed before you start looking for the resources to get you there.
Exactly. And it's important to remember, funding isn't just about the money. It's also about those strategic partnerships, mentorship, and access to networks and resources that can be so valuable for a young company.
Let's break down some of the most common funding options, starting with bootstrapping. Our sources talk about it as a way for founders to keep full control, but it can be a slow and tough road.
Bootstrapping is all about relying on yourself, using your savings, the revenue the business generates, or even personal loans to fund those early stages. It lets founders keep complete ownership and make all the decisions.
I imagine it takes incredible discipline and resourcefulness to make every dollar stretch, especially in those early days when income can be so unpredictable.
Absolutely. It really shows how much a founder believes in their vision and their willingness to invest their own resources to make it happen. But it's not the right fit for everyone, and it might not work for every business model.
On the other hand, we have outside investment. Our sources mention angel investors and venture capitalists as major players here. What are the trade-offs founders should think about when going down this route?
Seeking investment from outside can bring in a big chunk of capital, allowing startups to scale up faster and go after ambitious growth plans. But it also means giving up some ownership-sharing decision-making and answering to those investors.
So it's about finding that balance between getting the resources you need to grow and keeping control of your vision and where your company is headed.
Exactly. That's why picking the right investors is so crucial. It's not just about the money they offer, it's about aligning with their values, their experience in your industry, and their willingness to provide guidance and support beyond just the financial side of things.
It almost sounds like finding the right investor is like finding a partner, someone who shares your passion and gets what you're trying to achieve. What are some key steps founders should take when looking for outside investment?
The first thing is crafting a strong pitch deck.
What's that exactly?
It's a presentation that clearly lays out the problem you're solving, your unique solution, the market opportunity, your team's expertise, and your financial projections. It's your story, your chance to grab the attention of potential investors and convince them your startup is worth investing in.
Like a first impression? A chance to show off not only your idea, but your entrepreneurial drive and your vision for the future.
Precisely. Then comes the actual fundraising part, networking with investors, going to pitch events, adjusting your pitch based on the feedback you get, and finally getting those commitments.
I can imagine it's a pretty tough process full of rejections and setbacks. It must take a lot of resilience to keep pushing forward even when you hit those roadblocks.
It does. But for those founders who stick with it, who truly believe in what they're doing, it can be so rewarding to find investors who share that passion and are ready to join them on the journey.
And once you've secured that funding, it's back to building the product, scaling things up, growing the team, and putting that ambitious plan into action. It's the start of a whole new chapter.
It shows the power of that initial spark, that entrepreneurial spirit
Yeah.
that drives people to create something new, something that solves a problem and has the potential to make a real impact.
And it all begins with those first 100 days, that testing ground, where ideas are put to me. The test teams come together and the foundation for success is laid. We've covered a lot in this deep dive into the startup journey.
We've looked at the big milestones, the crucial decisions, the funding landscape, and the key qualities that make a successful entrepreneur. But this is just the beginning.
Exactly. And for our listeners, a final thought. What happens after those first 100 days? How does a startup handle the challenges of scaling competition changes in the market and staying true to that entrepreneurial spirit as the company grows? That's something for you all to think about. Until next time, happy diving.